What's going on, guys? Welcome to Titan Town for another Tennessee Titans video. Now, it is August, so it is time to start talking about some fantasy football. I love fantasy football. I'm sure a lot of you love fantasy football as well. So let's talk about some Tennessee Titans, since we all love the Titans, that can help you win your fantasy football league, because there is nothing better than getting players on the team that you love to play on your fantasy team and then rooting for them in the game and in real life as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. All the facts that I'm bringing you is from fantasypros.com. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. I'm going to start with Delanie Walker. This guy's just been a star for the Titans ever since he got here from San Francisco. They just gave him an extension, so you know that he's going to be used. He's going to be featured in this offense. They didn't want him to leave, and that's a good thing, because there for a while, Delanie was the only bright spot on this Titans offense. According to fantasypros.com, Delanie is his average draft position is 73 overall, and he's being drafted at the tight end number 7 position. Now, we know Gronk is number 1. No doubt about that. Gronkowski is going to be number 1 probably till the day he retires. But I am extremely confident in saying Delanie Walker will finish inside the top 4 among tight ends this year. And you know what? I am also just a little less confident saying that Delanie Walker will finish inside the top 3 among tight ends. And I actually have a little bit of confidence saying he will finish among top 2 in tight ends. But I feel 3 is probably best, because, you know, Gronk is number 1. I feel like Zach Ertz is just going to have a really breakout year this year. I feel like he's going to put up Gronk-like numbers. Then I have Delanie above Travis Kelce, Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham. I feel like Delanie's been in the system. He's got chemistry with Mariota. He is Mariota's security blanket. He is the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Travis Kelce, on the other hand, has no chemistry with his quarterback coming up. So that's really what's holding him back. Sammy Watkins came in, who's a wide receiver that I also like. You still have Kareem Hunt. There's a lot of mouths to be fed in that offense there in Kansas City, and I feel like Delanie is the go-to guy here in Tennessee. Is why I have Delanie rated above Travis Kelce. On my personal rankings, I have Delanie at number 3. The next player we're going to talk about, let's go ahead and talk about these running backs, because I'm sure this is what you're dying to know. Derrick Henry is currently being drafted at number 35 overall as the running back 17, while Dion Lewis is being drafted at 62 overall as the running back 26. Now let's go ahead and talk about both these guys. We'll talk about Derrick Henry first. Now we know that Derrick Henry is going to get the crack at the starting job first, but a lot of this is going to go into game planning, what the opponents like to do, how we plan to attack them, what Dion Lewis is good at versus what Derrick Henry is good at. Both of them are very well-rounded backs who can do a little bit of everything. And at first, I felt like Dion Lewis was probably the better back to have in Tennessee. And I still feel like you couldn't go wrong with either back, because I feel like both of those backs are going to give you running back 2 numbers on a weekly basis, mixing in with a little bit of running back 1 numbers from time to time, depending on the game plan and the opponent, such as if we were to play the Colts, I would definitely start Derrick Henry in that game. If we were to play someone, we play the Eagles in week 4, so just say the Eagles, I would start Dion Lewis over Derrick Henry in that game. So just depending on what the situation calls for is who I would start. So Derrick Henry's a big, powerful back. Look back on the past of Matt LaFleur. Alfred Morris, double-digit touchdowns under Matt LaFleur. Devonta Freeman, 2 years, both years, double-digit touchdowns under Matt LaFleur. Ty Gurley under Matt LaFleur, double-digit touchdowns. Derrick Henry is going to be a big, powerful goal line back for us, and I do expect him to get double-digit touchdowns. Now, if you're in a PPR format league or a half-point league, that value is just as important for Dion Lewis, because not only did running backs have a lot of touchdowns under Matt LaFleur, they also had a lot of catches. Devonta Freeman, 70-something catches both years, I believe. I can't remember exactly. I know he had 72 one year, or was it 74? I did a lot of research on that, but anyways, that is a lot of catches for a running back. Ty Gurley had over 50 catches under Matt LaFleur, which is, you don't really think of Ty Gurley as a catching running back, so 50 catches for Dion Lewis should be the bare minimum. So running backs under Matt LaFleur have had a lot of success. Now, the scheme is going to benefit both guys as well. Derrick Henry, I fussed and complained so many times in the past. I'm sure if you've been watching my videos for a while that you know that one big knock I have on Derrick Henry. Now, I like Derrick Henry, don't get me wrong, but one of the knocks that I do have on him is he's a little bit slower getting started. I would like to see him get that head of steam quicker, hit the line with more intensity, more power behind him, but a lot of times he just doesn't do that. But in this new zone blocking scheme, it takes those blocks a little bit more time to develop, which means by the time Derrick Henry does get to the line, the blocks will be more developed, which should really help his game more in theory. Dion Lewis is the type of scat back type of guy, very elusive. What he's going to do is he's going to get inside the offensive line, get lost, and then get gone, because there's going to be a lot of moving parts in this offensive line. You're going to have guards pulling. You're going to have tight ends going in motion. There's going to be a lot of different things, which will make it easier for Dion Lewis to get lost and then get gone. So I really like both of these running backs here. I feel like Dion Lewis is the better value, although I would rather have Derrick Henry on my team. I feel like Dion Lewis is the better value because he is not even being drafted as a running back 2. He's being drafted as a flex or running back 3 position according to his average draft position, because outside the 24, you just think about it, if you're in a 12-team league, which is what I'm in. I feel like most teams are either in a 12 or a 10, but in a 12-team league, he's being drafted outside the top 24 running backs, which should be a great value, and I don't really understand how he's falling that low. So moving on, let's talk about the quarterback. Marcus Mariota's average draft position is number 123 overall as the quarterback 19, which means he is not even being drafted if it's not a 2-quarterback league. He is not inside the top 12 or top 10 or top 14 or however you want to look at it. If it's not a 2-quarterback league, he is just not being drafted, which I think is criminal. Running quarterbacks score fantasy football points. That's just a given. So you factor in that, he might miss a game or two due to some sort of injury. That happens. Okay, we'll move on. But then people are just jumping off the bandwagon so quickly of Marcus Mariota because of his down season last year, which I think was a total fluke. I think part of it had to be was he never actually got completely healthy after that Houston Texans game. So I do understand there is a little bit of concern there, but Mariota is going to score you points. This offense Tennessee is going to run seems to be a high-powered offense. As long as Corey Davis, Taywan Taylor, and the other guys can step up around him, he should be a lights-out quarterback and should probably finish around quarterback 6, 7, or 8. I'm guessing that is the upside. I don't draft players for their upside because if you play fantasy football with me, you'll know that I do not play with my heart. I play with my head. I will not reach for a Tennessee Titans player. If I can get them at a good value, somewhere where I'm comfortable drafting them, I will. You're not going to see me draft Derrick Henry in round 1. You're not going to see me draft Delanie Walker in round 2. You're not going to see me draft Marcus Mariota in round 3. Nothing like that. I'm not going to reach. I play with my head, not my heart. So I feel like Marcus Mariota is being very severely undervalued. I feel like Derrick Henry is about right. I feel like Delanie Walker is undervalued, and I feel like Dion Lewis is undervalued. I feel like I haven't sat down and actually wrote down a list of how I got these guys ranked, but I would probably put Derrick Henry around running back 13, 14, or 15. And I would probably put Dion Lewis just a couple of spots behind that, just because of the goal line work that Derrick Henry is going to get. Now, if it's a PPR format, I might have them back-to-back because Derrick Henry is going to catch a few balls as well. So let's talk about some of Marcus Mariota's weapons. Let's start out with our number 1 wide receiver. We're hoping to have a breakout year, and I see a lot of people who are not even Tennessee Titans fans who are expecting Corey Davis to have a breakout year. Currently, Davis is being drafted at number 68 overall as the wide receiver 27, so that doesn't even put him in the wide receiver 2 range. Now, it seems like all the mock drafts that I do, he's usually drafted anywhere from the 5th to the 8th round. I do a lot of mock drafts just for practice or just when I get bored, but it seems like he's always going somewhere between 5 and 8. Depending on who you're drafting with, how people are building those teams. There's a bunch of different factors that go into this. Now, Corey Davis did show flashes last year. He showed it against the Raiders in our season opener. He showed it against the Patriots in the playoffs. He had a pretty nice game against Kansas City in the playoffs too, although it doesn't get mentioned as much. He had a pretty nice game against the Rams last year. So hopefully Corey Davis will be able to come out and really turn it on. Last season, he didn't even have any chemistry with Marcus Mariota. Both guys were hurt in the start of offseason activity, so they didn't get that chance to build the chemistry over the offseason. It's kind of like Corey Davis just got thrown out there. Marcus just had to trust him and find him. They didn't really know what each other liked or what each other's style was like. So Corey Davis should take a big step forward this year, and I feel like 27 is a little bit low for him, although there are certainly some risks involved, especially since he hasn't been practicing, and Mike Vrabel is being very tight-lipped about what's going on. So right now, Corey Davis is a little bit of a gamble, but if I can get him in anywhere from round 7 to round 8, if I can get him in round 7, I will go ahead and take him in round 7. If someone I haven't got rated higher has not fallen as well, I would feel comfortable taking Corey Davis in round 7 and possibly even round 6, depending on the board and who I'm playing with. After Davis, it is a big drop off in our wide receiver position. Rishard Matthews' average draft position is 146 overall as the wide receiver 55. Now, Rishard Matthews is not a sexy pick, is not a pick that you're going to be planning to make when you go into your mock drafts, but Rishard Matthews has been very solid over the years. In 2016, with his first year with the Titans, he put up 945 yards for 9 touchdowns. Now his play did fall off a little last year, where he went for a little over 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't really know what happened there, and Corey Davis playing across from him is going to hurt him, but he should give you flex or wide receiver 2 appeal, depending on the matchup. Now, if we're playing someone like the Jaguars, I would not start him. I would find someone else off the flex, off the waiver wire, something like that. But if we're playing the Eagles or the Patriots or somebody that we're going to have to throw the football to beat, I would go ahead and pick up Rishard Matthews, or even the Jaguars, or not the Jaguars, but the Texans, a team that's very hard to run against. I would start him in that one if I had to. I would not never start Rishard Matthews unless I just absolutely had to. If someone got hurt, if it was somebody's bye week. And then even if I was considering starting him, I would kind of look at the other matchups as well. And then there is another big fall off as Taywan Taylor. His average draft position is 289 overall as wide receiver 104, which is, he's just going undrafted. And I kind of agree with that at this point right now, because Rishard Matthews and Corey Davis are going to be our starters. Delanie Walker is going to eat up a lot of targets. Our running backs are going to get targets, and we don't know exactly what the Titans are going to do. Are they going to run 3 wide receiver sets most of the time, 2 wide receiver sets most of the time? We're going to have some 4 wide receiver sets, 5. We just don't know at this point. We never know. We don't know how the Titans are going to use these guys. Now, if an injury pops up, if Corey Davis or Rishard Matthews goes down, which Rishard Matthews is on the PUP right now, so if he has to miss some extended time, I would consider adding Taywan late in the game, because Taywan, if he was a starter over Rishard Matthews, I would feel more comfortable for him being on my team, because at least he gives you that boom or bust potential. He might catch 2 passes for 5 yards in a game, or he might catch 6 passes for, 150 yards because of his deep threat ability, because of his elusiveness, with the football in his hands. And by the way, I wanted to mention before we move on to look at the defense that Dion Lewis, if you're in a league that rewards you for return points, he is currently being treated as the team's #1 return man at this point. So on my league, it is the defense that's rewarded. So if I got the Tennessee Titans defense and Dion Lewis runs back a 50-yard punt for a touchdown, then my defense gets those points. I might not have Dion Lewis on my team. Dion Lewis wouldn't get those points. My Tennessee Titans defense would, because defense and special teams count as one aside from the kicker. So on defense now, I really like the Titans defense this year. They're currently being treated as a defense 15, so they are not getting drafted. But you got to think about this Titans defense. How do defenses get reward in fantasy football? Sacks, interceptions, and 3 and outs. Now, one thing we are lacking on 3 and outs is a pure dominant run stuffer. We have Beanie Logan now, but we don't know exactly what he's going to be yet. We're going to get to find out as the preseason goes on and into the early part of the season. We'll get to see his run stuffing ability and how much of a difference he is actually going to make. But when it comes to sacks, we have Jarrell Casey, Derrick Morgan, Brian Ratpole, Harold Landry, Rashawn Evans when he comes back. He has some pass rush ability. Jayon Brown, he has a little, he's not considered a pass rushing linebacker, but he has the athleticism to do it. Not to mention that we also blitz our safeties. Kevin Byard has had a sack in his past. Then you look at our secondary. This is probably my favorite aspect of the team after years of watching Jason McCourty, Parrish Cox, Valentino Blake, Bryce McCain. I was about to say Bryce Butler, but Bryce McCain. Watching all them guys starting our secondary. Oh my goodness, I want to pull my hair out. But now we have Malcolm Butler, Kevin Byard, Adoree Jackson, Kenny Vaccaro. Hopefully he gets up to speed pretty quickly. Logan Ryan. Then we have LaShawn Sims playing backup. So this secondary looks very stout. They're going to create turnovers, especially with the pressure that our front 7 is going to put on opposing quarterbacks. because they're not going to be able to double team no guys across our defensive line. If they do, someone else is going to get free and get to the quarterback. If they don't, we're still going to get pressure on that quarterback. So these guys in the back, MNNCB, my man catching no balls. That's what it's going to be this year. Kevin Byard led the league in interceptions, or tied for the league in interceptions as a safety. So we know he can get up there and get the ball. Malcolm Butler's been picking off a lot of balls in practice, so we're going to call some turnovers, especially when we play Blake Bortles. He's going to give us some turnovers. I haven't really looked at too much. Dak Prescott is going to give us some turnovers, so it is going to be fun watching this Titans defense, and I would actually put them in my fantasy league. I wouldn't even mind even having them as my starter, to be completely honest with you. I might stream from week to week, but I would not mind having their Titans defense as my usual starter, because I'm not going to pick a defense in round 8 or 9 or 10 when teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars are going, or the LA Rams are going, or the Minnesota Vikings are going. I'm not going to pick a defense that early. I'm still going to stack up on my wide receivers, my quarterback, or not my quarterback, my wide receivers, my running backs, maybe some tight ends. So I'm not going to pick a defense that early. I wouldn't mind waiting until the very last round, getting maybe one of the better kickers in round 15, then round 16, coming back and grabbing the Titans defense. I actually love that strategy. But anyways, guys, comment, let me know which Titans do you want on your team for fantasy football. Now, myself, I don't believe in putting too many eggs into one basket on my fantasy football team. I don't want a lot of players from the same team. So I'm going to say, given the value that Delanie Walker is going at, I would first take Delanie Walker. He would be the one guy I want most. And I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 names because, I don't mind having 2 people from the same team, but no more than 2. But I would take Delanie Walker, given his average draft position and given that he is a safer pick than Corey Davis. And then I would take Dion Lewis because he's coming at a better value than Derrick Henry. If it is PPR or half point per reception league, I would definitely take Dion Lewis. If not, I might really consider Derrick Henry in round 3 or 4. But comment, let me know what you guys want. Which Titans players do you want on your team? Leave a like on the video if you like the content. Be sure to punch that subscribe button. A lot of great stuff coming up in the future. Hope you guys have a great day. God bless, and tighten up.